What men need is very simple. And without this thing, the crisis of modernity, the lack of meaning, the absurdity of life is only going to increase. And men are going to keep getting weaker. And to describe this thing, I want to start with a quote from Troy, which is based on the Iliad. Hector in Troy said, "All of my life, I've lived by a code. And that code is simple. Honor the gods, love your woman, and defend your country. Troy is mother to us all. Fight for her." And that quote struck a nerve for me because it seems to me to be the embodiment of the ancient relationship of man to the world. And that relationship comes down to one word, and that's citizenship. The ancient man was a citizen of the spiritual world. He felt the trees, the spirit of the stream, his ancestors and God or the gods to be alive. He felt an intimate relationship with all of life, and therefore he was a citizen of all of life, and he had a duty to all of life. He had a duty to his gods, and that was man's first relationship. The second relationship man had was to his family, to his lover, and to his kids, right? To his wife. And what did this give man? This gave man a lot of meaning, a lot of capacity to go beyond his own individuality to serve something greater. And the third level of relationship or citizenship man had was to his village and to his tribe. In the modern day, we barely know our neighbors. We're a little bit connected to people at work, right? Maybe if you're really lucky, you have a family, but most young people today don't, and they don't have dreams of having that. Basically, we don't feel patriotism for our town and for our village and for our tribe. We don't have community anymore. Most people don't have a family, and they don't have a relationship to the spiritual world or to God. Basically, we have lost citizenship. And what citizenship is a feeling of being a part of a larger whole. So we have lost citizenship on all three levels, and this is the greatest tragedy for men and of modernity. You see, citizenship grants something very special. It grants meaning, and it grants responsibility. When you have responsibility to the spiritual world and your ancestors, when you have responsibility to your family, to your wife, and you have responsibility to your tribe and to your village, all of a sudden you have the meaning to overcome your own individuality, to rise over and transcend your limited and lower nature and this selfishness to go live for something greater than you. And in doing that, this is actually one of the most joyous, beautiful, and powerful experiences of life, is all of a sudden you aren't the center of the world anymore. You're part of something larger. And actually, this is what all men crave. We crave camaraderie with our brothers. We crave a cause to fight for. We crave a relationship to something that gives our life meaning, right? So to contrast modern man with traditional man, I want to give you two examples. One is Athens, and one would be a small town in the foundation of America. So in ancient Athens, let's say you're an Athenian citizen. You had a ton of pride in your city-state. In fact, you knew most of the other citizens that were kind of within your niche or job or social class, right? And then all of a sudden, the Persians are knocking on your doorstep. Hundreds of thousands of them coming to conquer and take everything that you have. The Athenian citizens went to the beaches of Marathon and fought this battle against a horde of Persians. And you're fighting for your gods. You're fighting for Athena, the patron goddess of your city. You're fighting for Athens herself, the home, your home. You're fighting for your brothers and sisters beside you. You know every single man in that line. You grew up together. You trained in the academies together. You trained in the gymnasiums together. You would die for them, right? And you're also fighting for your family back home. Think of the amount of metaphysical power that experience has for a human being. This is a massive initiation into manhood, of an absolute transcendence of one's individuality. And this was the highest meaning of war in ancient Greece. And ancient Greeks, city-states, for better or for worse, were very warring people. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to glorify war here, but I'm just trying to show you what it would have felt like to have that ancient mindset of alignment in the traditional way. To give you another example, let's say that you were a citizen of the United States in the 1790s. You were a farmer in Pennsylvania, and this is right after the Constitution was signed, right after America became a full-fledged independent country. Okay? You owned the land. What would your mindset be like in this small town where you own the land? Own some land and you had a farm. Well, your kids' are probably going to live there. How would you treat the land around you? What would your relationship be like to the land around you and your house? You'd probably make it better. On top of that, you'd probably get to know all your neighbors, because guess what? You're all kindred. You're in this together. They too own the land, and their kids are going to be there. Your time frame of thinking expands to generations. Instead of just a couple weeks or a couple months, you're thinking ahead generations. On top of that, you're participating in self-governance. The meaning of the original United States was that power was very much in the hands of towns and states rather than a centralized power of a federal government. Meaning that self-governance was really important. Just like in Athens, you would have participated in a symposium of sorts with your neighbors, talking about how to govern the town, what kind of schools and education and roads, and what should the taxes be used for, and like what should we fight for, what are our values, what's our religion here. There would have been much more participation in self-governance, and all of this lends to having a stake in something larger than yourself. You have a stake in the land. You have a stake in the future of the community. You have a stake and influence in participation in self-governance. And all of this creates meaning. You have a lot more meaning for living beyond yourself and living for your family, living for your tribe, living for your community. Contrast that with modern day America. Most people are renting. They don't know their neighbors. They don't give a shit what is happening in their towns. And America has just gotten too big and too polarized. I don't think humans are supposed to live, in a nation of 300 million other people. We should go back to Athens and live in a city-state of 100,000 or a town of 40,000 in Pennsylvania, right? When you live in a smaller group, you can actually feel like you have a team. You can actually have pride in your city. You can have pride in your town. But when things get so big and you just have 300 million people, the enemy doesn't exist outside of your country anymore. The enemy is inside of your country. It is the people who don't feel and think like you. You don't have kindred spirits anymore, and we don't have community anymore. Like, we used to go see Jack, Jill, Mark, and all the boys and everyone else at church every Sunday, right? And then we'd go play badminton with them on the park green. And like before social media and Netflix and all of these things, like we definitely felt a lot more kindred sense of community with our neighbors, with our community. But nowadays, our social circles have just grown pathetically small. Right? And we don't do things with our comrades, with our brothers. We don't have like a brotherhood circle anymore. We're not growing towards some ideal and have a shared purpose in building towards that ideal. Basically, we are an exhausted culture, and our time frame of thinking has become drastically small. You don't want a family anymore. You're not thinking generations ahead. You don't have citizenship to anything. You were just a citizen of yourself and of the global world, which is like the weakest version of citizenship possible. And this is the most anti-natural state man has ever existed in. And this is why I'm making this video, is what men need is very simple. They need to feel like they're a citizen of a larger whole. They need a cause that they believe in. They need a family that they want to provide and protect, right? And they need a relationship to the spiritual world, and hopefully a relationship to the spiritual world that they share with others. That's what religion is, and religion has always been the center of every community, of every culture, of every tribe, nation, and tradition across all of time. When religion goes away, the fall is near. I'm not saying we need to return to Christianity. I'm not pushing any modern conservative values. I'm pushing the traditional relationship to life because it's tried and tested across every people, across all of time. There's a reason that there is such thing as a tradition with a capital T. What I want to add right here is that what makes a man is responsibility. Responsibility is what defines manhood in my eyes. And in order for man to willingly accept high amounts of responsibility, he must be a citizen of a larger project that he believes in. Because when he believes in the larger project, all of a sudden he will willingly accept more responsibility because it comes with greater meaning to him. And this is what I'm trying to get at is, let's say you lived in one of these small towns that you really believed in the project of your community, or you lived in Sparta or Athens and you believed in your city and what it was creating. All of a sudden you would take on high amounts of responsibility to fight for your family, to fight for your city, or to become something great for your city. And this is what makes great men. So in conclusion, I think the only solution that I see for humanity and for men in solving this current crisis on almost every level of modernity is to return to more decentralized, retribalized communities. This was the original idea of the United States, and I think it's time to have a revolution to return to that idea. Yeah, I'm Christian. This is Wisdom Warriors, a deep, heavy video this time, as usual. If you want to talk to me one-on-one and join my men's community and men's academy and find other men like you to level up with, there's a link below to talk to me. Also, if you like these raw videos out in the great wilderness, go check out Christian Bell 2. It's my second channel. There's a link below for that. Thanks for being here, friends. I'll see you at the next one. Peace.